Hey guys, it's Alvin and Jess, and we are The Most Potato.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing two of Japan's latest movie drops, The Boy and the Heron and Monster. We'll be getting into some spoilers, so if you haven't watched these movies yet, save this episode and come back after watching.
Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you guys enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone, to another installment of the Most Potato podcast. We hope you guys are not suffering too much from last-minute Christmas shopping.
Oh my God. I was done in November. Somebody else was like, let's do it a week before. And
I
for
usually
other
don't
things.
do that. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Christmas is coming. We got a lot of days off. Well, at least people that work full-time. I know a lot of part-timers, they probably still have to work.
Yeah.
But we hope you guys have plenty of time to enjoy with your family and friends. And if you don't have family and friends, you have us.
Yay! Fun.
And you'll be joining us today on a discussion of two movies distributed by Toho Studios. We're eating good this December in terms of Japanese cinema.
Mm-hmm.
We had Godzilla -1 the previous week or two. And now we're talking The Boy and the Heron, and we'll also be talking Monster. We're doing a 2-in-1, a twofer here.
Twofer.
Yes.
Ew, I don't like that.
A twofer.
Don't say that.
Twofer.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, so we'll be starting off with The Boy and the Heron, and this is marketed as Hayao Miyazaki's last film, which I do not believe because he said the same thing back in like 2013 for The Wind Rises. And now we're back again, talking more Hayao Miyazaki.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting and it's fun.
It's going to have to be when he dies. Then there'll be no film. Because you got that son with them two movies. If
we
you
don't
guys
talk about him.
Yeah.
We don't talk
if you
about
guys
Bruno.
go Rotten Tomato and you look at the scores.
For his son's movies.
His son's movies are the only ones fucking up the...
I feel so bad. It's so funny to see how dark his disposition is sometimes. Like Miyazaki makes like these really like energetic, very sort of emotional films with a lot of joy, but also he knows how to tap into darkness. Mm-hmm. And when you see him, he looks like the most disgruntled, tired man ever. Like there's like the meme of him with his glasses off and he has his hands over his eyes and there's like a cigarette in his mouth. That's his main mood for like the most part. And it just like I felt kind of sad knowing that he's kind of trying to discourage his son to not do animation because he's just not good. I just think that's really interesting. I think that's really funny. I don't know. I think a level of honesty is necessary for your kids. It's just like, listen.
Well, he was probably honest back in 2006. Tales from Earthsea. I never watched that one. That was his son. And I think everybody was honest when that earwig and the witch thing came out.
I haven't seen either of these
I wasn't
movies.
interested in it at all.
Yeah, I just didn't like the CG angle of it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I already don't care about whatever this story is.
I wasn't getting like the Ghibli vibes from that
I wasn't
either. So
and apparently the critics didn't feel it either because those are the lowest scoring Studio Ghibli films.
Yeah, it was only those two. So I was just like, wow. I busted out laughing when I saw the chart on Instagram. I was just like,
this poor guy.
What? I know that's his son's movie. I was like, don't tell me this other one's his son's movie. And yeah.
Sure enough.
Fair enough. But I haven't watched like a lot of Studio Ghibli movies. Mm-hmm. But I do like them. I do love the soundtracks.
The soundtracks are freaking legendary. Joe Hisaishi, he needs Oscars every time he composes something.
Like, it's so good. Like, as soon as we finished watching this movie, I downloaded the soundtrack.
Oh, nice.
I did. It was just like, it was so good. I
didn't even know that.
Yeah, I love listening to it. I think my favorite one is Spirited Away.
That's
that
probably
soundtrack
has the most iconic songs in there.
So that's like my favorite one. But I was looking forward to this movie a lot. I know I dozed off, not because the movie was bad.
Yeah.
I was just really freaking tired.
No, even I was getting drowsy during the first half hour of the movie, and we'll get into why later on. But I almost fell asleep too.
Yeah, I mean it was
for
like
a different reason.
The movie was good, and it's like that. You know, Miyazaki film. Like there's a message, there's a lot going on. It's chaotic, the music, there's always something at stake, and it was doing all the right things. I was just so tired, and it was honestly, the movie was kind of relaxing too for everything that was going on in it. And it was very emotional for me too at times for the main character Mahito. So it was a good film. But I was so tired that day. I was really tired. I think I dozed off for like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you started talking to me. I was like, yeah.
So for anyone unfamiliar with the premise of the movie, The Boy and the Heron focuses on 12-year-old Mahito Maki, who experiences a tragic loss during the Pacific War that tears through Japan and has to relocate to the countryside with his father and new mother to start a new life. But then his new mother goes missing, and Mahito has to set out on a journey through a marvelous yet dangerous new world connected to a mysterious family heritage, as well as a weird tower next to his home. Joined by the mischievous talking heron and other eccentric characters, Mahito's rescue mission becomes a journey of grand self-discovery. And that was like the best way that I could contain the plot.
Why on these notes? Yes, we have notes. Water, cute sperm things. Why did you call those things cute sperm things? I was going to say that for
when we get to the characters.
I don't care.
That's the way that I remember these characters.
They look like little balloons. They don't look like little sperm things.
That was the first thing I thought of. They're like balloon sperms.
Okay.
But yes, before I got rudely interrupted by your comment on my sperm comment.
He's so stupid. I can't. Anyways, continue.
This was the best way I could summarize the plot, just because I guess this kind of goes into already one of my complaints about the movie, which is like the plot isn't it's not very specific compared to like Spirited Away or like Princess Mononoke, where there is a definitive goal for the character. This movie, like you mentioned, it made you like relaxed, and there's a good reason for that. It's because I think Miyazaki was going for like a dream-like state with this movie, because when I mentioned that I felt sleepy for the first half hour, it's because the first half hour, almost nothing's really going on yet. And it takes a long time for Mahito to go from the regular human world in Japan to the weird mystical world that we get to later on. And when he's there, it just feels like he's just exploring what the place is like. There's not a lot of action. There's not a lot of plot going on until further on. And it just made me feel like I was in this dream state for like the first 30 minutes. And I feel like it just took a little too long to get to like the meat and the potatoes of the movie. And then even then, I wasn't sure what the meat and potatoes of the movie is, because the simple plot is that Mahito's trying to get his mom back, who's not actually his mom. His real mom dies in a firebombing, but the new mom is his mom's sister, so basically his aunt.
His dad's a dog.
It'd be like that's 1940s right there.
Know,
if your wife passed away, sometimes you'd be like, all right, you got any siblings?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to take you.
Yeah. So okay, for most of the characters, I was not following too much the characters except for Mahito and basically the heron.
Yeah.
That was it, and then the stepmom. But I don't know. I feel like I get what you mean about like it feeling sort of like a dream. But I guess the movie starts off with, the fire happening at the hospital.
Animated. Oh my God.
Yeah, I felt like danger. I know it's like 2D animation, but I felt like I was engulfed in it.
Yeah.
And the way the animation was moving and Mahito was running through the fire, through the crowd to get to
the distortion of the images was weird. That felt dreamlike.
That's where I felt like I felt it. It's not like looking at like some live action or anything like that. And I was like, wow, for them to just do this.
They didn't have to do that artistically, but he did.
But he did. And I was just like, wow. I was like, what if I was like running through this like crowd trying to get through fire and there was smoke and all this stuff like that?
Because it would be distorted. I mean, you don't think about the fact that even on a hot summer day, you see distortion from like the heat coming from the ground.
The pavement,
I think that's kind of what they were trying to capture. And I was just like, I I've never seen anyone try to capture that in 2D, like the distortion of the heat from the flames.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, and it added a sense of urgency
Yeah.
of that scene. Like, we don't know shit about his mom. We just know that Mahito cares about his mom and loves her, and now she's gone after the firebombing.
Yeah. So I don't know. For me, like that being how the movie starts, and we seeing Mahito, he's frantic. You know, he, like you said, he cares for his mom. Mm-hmm. Now she's gone, and then
now there's this clone.
Yeah.
They make comments saying like, "Wow, that looks exactly like your mom."
And then we cut to like, him and his dad going to meet the new mom, and she's already pregnant. Yeah. And I was just like, who is this lady? I was like, is she gonna be like
some
the
spirit
wicked stepmom or something for me? That's what I was thinking. Is she gonna be mean? Because like I was getting these vibes from her, and I kind of
wish they made her mean. She was boring.
Really?
She was just so nice. I'm like, there's.
Why you want chaos in your life, Alvin?
I need it.
Why?
I think like, okay, it's weird that I'm already getting to a complaint, but I feel like I should bring this up now because that's one of the first things that stood out to me in this movie is I feel like I don't know Mahito enough by the end of this movie, and I feel like there should have been more tension between Mahito and the new mom. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily be mean to her, but like act in a way that might bother her because you are still trying to be distant from this woman because she looks exactly like your mom and she's replacing your mom. I feel like there shouldn't be like not necessarily animosity because his personality is very respectful. Yeah. But he's stoic as well, and he's kind of cold-mannered.
That's what I got from him.
Like I wanted him to be a little more interactive with her in a negative way. Not necessarily mean, but like cold and standoffish, but still somehow being respectful. It was more like he was respectful and just completely indifferent. Like, I wish there was more tension with those two because I feel like there should have been some sort of relationship forming with these two. And I also have the same issues with a lot of other characters. Like, I don't feel what the relationship is between Mahito and his father. The father just shows up every once in a while and is just like, oh, I got you like this new thing and you're going to be going to a school in a new car so that you can show off to your friends. And it's like, He obviously he cares about upward mobility in terms of like financial stuff and you know all that stuff, but I don't know much else about the dad besides that. And he doesn't play a pivotal role, but he has more of a presence than parents in previous movies, like Spirited Away. Yeah, I don't need to know shit about the parents there because they're not meant to be part of the story.
They're just gluttonous, greedy people.
Yeah, and they're part of a goal. They're part of Chihiro's goal.
So I don't know. For me, like everything you're saying is, I get that. I feel the same way about like Mahito's character, but I also wish that maybe there was like a little flashback, maybe with Mahito and his mom, like
something to give
so
us
that
context.
way we can like know. I
agree.
feel and sense the loss that he's feeling for his mother, you know.
But he doesn't express it enough. At least not in my opinion, I don't think the character
I feel like he's just
pain.
going through like, you know, just going through everyday life just as is, you know. He
like on autopilot.
Yeah,
almost.
he's on autopilot. You know, he's respectful. He's just doing what he's told. You can't really change anything there. You know, the hospital was, you know, destroyed. Mm-hmm. There's a war going on. They have to move, and this is just what it is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he gets that, and in a sense, he knows that nothing can change, but he's also still mourning his mother. But it's really weird because for a child to behave that way, it seems like really weird. Because I the whole time I was thinking, I was like, well, how old is he supposed to be? Like
I think he's 12 in the movie.
Yeah, it felt very strange for like someone so young to be this way. And from that, I was getting that this is him suffering a loss, kind of, and he has no way or no means to like get through it because his dad's just like, okay, I'm going to the company, I'm gonna go work, and you're gonna start. It's almost
school. Like he's already forgotten about his late wife.
Yes, that's what I was feeling from the dad, and I was just like, okay, because I'm like, I just got here, and I was just like, I don't know if Mahito just got here, but why does she got a bun in the oven over there? Like, when did this happen for me? So I guess there's supposed to be like a time skip, and this was set up so that way after, you know, the hospital burning down and stuff, they moved on. But for me, it was just like, we're just moving on. What about the mom? Like, what about his mother? And I don't know if his character is also feeling that same way too.
Yeah.
But not being able to express it.
Yeah.
Because his dad's moving forward and everybody else around is moving forward. So what does he do?
Yeah.
You know? And I guess once he's settled into
the new countryside home.
Yeah, the new home, we see instantly the heron.
Fucking bird.
Yeah, and he like kind
bird.
of flies in through like the walkway of the house, and then the stepmom's just like, oh wow, that he never gets this close or he never comes in.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, he's gonna be a problem. And I was just like, that's so strange. But Mahito, he goes to his room and he like, you know, he falls asleep, and I think he was dreaming about his mom too then, which that
was a good depiction of him grieving
exactly,
because he wakes up with a tear coming down his eyes, and it's just like, okay, we're getting into some meat.
Yeah. So that still felt like, I was like, okay, so we're still feeling that. Like everybody else is probably, the world is moving on.
Yeah.
And
but Mahito's processing.
He's still processing it. He's still dealing with it, which I like. That's why I was like, I really wish that there was like a flashback of him and his mom or something about his mom. So that way, you know, I could not
latch
feel a little bit more, but
yeah.
And then I could feel like there was like a drive for something, because I just felt like the movie was basically him coming to terms with that and be able to move forward.
But not once do we see him fully like express the pain.
Yeah.
Which it can look as like different kinds of like grievances. Like it doesn't look like, oh, I'm just angry and I'm gonna yell or I'm just gonna cry. Like experiencing pain can look like a lot of things, and I don't honestly know if we've seen that from Mahito other than his journey into this new world.
Well, I think that him being, well, not him being respectful, but him being kind of like stoic and just respectful and doing what he needs to do, being placed where he needs to be placed. And I think him doing that is him like screaming and being angry. And that's what, I guess that's his character, because the stepmom, she's nice, as to our annoyance. She's nice.
Yeah, she's not being like pushy or anything.
Yeah, he has no reason to yell at her, but what he's doing, instead of yelling at her or disrespecting her or whatever, he's not getting close to her.
Yeah.
And she's trying for the most part, but she's also giving him space because I would assume she's an adult, so she understands that. And she's left with him. The dad's just like, oh yeah, you go with her and I'm going to go to company as soon as they get to this new place.
Yeah.
And it's left on her. So there's also a struggle for her as well, too, to connect with this boy.
And then she gets ripped away as soon as there's any sort of progression of that drama there.
Yeah. Which I think sparks something in Mahito, too. I mean, aside from the heron being like
an annoyance to him.
Yeah, shitting on his windowsill.
Shitting on his windowsill. That shit was funny. I was like, is that shit?
Yeah, I said that to you. I was like, watch him shit on it, and then you're just like, what? No, and then I was like, that's shit.
Yo, this bird is so fucking annoying. It's so funny. There's a weird thing with this bird. It's like we get just enough story with him to make him interesting, but we don't know anything about the heron either, which is really weird. Because first of all, I need to get into the animation of the bird itself. Like the character design of the bird is both beautiful and just haunting at the same time.
Yeah.
When it's just like regular heron mode, I'm like, that's a cute, weird looking bird. And then you start seeing the gums start protruding and then the human teeth. And I'm like, wait, that's not like bird teeth, is it? Like, I know my birds.
I was confused. I was just like, is this what a heron looks like? Because I'm like,
ain't no way.
They shouldn't have teeth. Like,
it's
what?
It's gross. It's creepy looking. And then
really is.
And then you quickly start seeing more of like the person's face underneath the beak. You see like an actual man's face with I don't know what it is about Miyazaki. He loves drawing old people with big bulgy noses. Like, inhumanly like large reddish noses.
Because it's like the older you get, like the longer your nose gets and the bigger your ears get or something like that.
Yeah, so he plays with that motif, which I think that's so funny. That's one of his signature styles. But yeah, when the heron morphs, it's like disturbing to watch, but I hate how beautiful it looks at the same time because the color palettes are so gorgeous. The way that the bird moves is also really gorgeous. Like this is 2D hand drawn. Like this man refuses to do modern techniques, and the fact that he took the time to hand draw every single motion, and that's what it looks like, and it looks better than a lot of CG animated movies.
Yeah,
like I don't get how this man does this at like 87 years old. It's insane. And it took me back to the days of like when 2D was still the standard for animated films.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that the movie doesn't look too modern. Like with modern anime, you see like the colors are updated. Everything is like more high definition and like polished. This looks like it came out in like 2003.
Yes.
In like the best way possible.
It's like it looks like the Ghibli. Like that's what it looks like. Because I was worried. I was like, oh wow, it's 23. How is it gonna look? Like it's gonna look like really like fresh, and maybe it won't really feel like it.
Look like Jujutsu Kaisen season 2.
But it definitely felt like it was those vibes.
That's a traditional style that Miyazaki really loves.
Yeah, and I love that about it, because I was worried about that, but I was like, I'm pretty sure it's still gonna be good since it's not his son. So I was just like, it's
come after his son whenever you can.
I know I have to. It's so funny. But I was worried about that, and I was surprised, and it felt like, comfortable. Like when I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna put on Spirited Away
again. It's a cozy
again.
vibe.
Yeah, or I'm gonna put on My Neighbor Totoro. Like I like those vibes, and it's so fun. But
and it just proves you don't have to have the most up to date modern like technologies, animation techniques, styles. We still love like the traditional 2D hand-drawn style.
Yeah.
Like I've always thought like if there was like some guy that wanted to do a 90s style anime like way back when, like Yu Yu Hakusho, I would watch that, because that art is still gorgeous to watch.
Yeah.
And looking back at anime from the 90s that were like have really fluid motion looks better than some of the new stuff that we get today.
That's the thing. It's the motion and the time they put in
and the care.
Yeah. It's obviously it's a different style. That's the style of the 90s. So like you wouldn't see it. The style changes now, but the style changed now, and the style is good now, but the animation is trash. The action, you can't see any of it. And it's just
especially
like
when it's a rush production.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Part.
So it's not like I'm not coming at the animators or anything like that.
No,
it's really
it's the process. It's the culture, the work culture.
Exactly.
It gets in the way.
But you can definitely like see the difference, and there's not enough time and the ability to put care into what we're watching now. For some things those are the things that we have to like wait a year for, like each season. But I definitely notice the difference, and sometimes just like, man, I'm like, when I'm watching my current shows today, I'm just like, why couldn't they do what they did back 10-20 years ago?
It just hits different back
you
then.
would think like, wait, what, 20 years ago it didn't even look that good. I'm just like, but it moved that good,
some of it actually looks very good too. That's what's funny. So in terms of animation, there's no flaws, and not a single frame is wasted in this movie. So at the very least, even if like some parts of this movie I don't enjoy in terms of narrative and character, I always love what Miyazaki does next with his animation. Like it's just a refresher. His style is just something that's so evocative and unique, and you just know right away when you see a frame from a Miyazaki film, you know that's Miyazaki.
Yeah,
like it's very hard to have a unique style that the world can recognize. So the animation just it took my breath away with every single scene that we watch. And when we get into like the weird spirit world, I don't even know what they call it really. I don't think they call it any sort of name. Once he gets into the world with all like the spirits and then the weird different bird tribes, because then there's humanoid birds.
Yes. What is it? The parakeets?
There's parakeet people. There's what else was there? There are pelicans.
Oh yeah,
well.
the pelicans. They were going through it.
This movie makes birds scary as hell, and it's not like they're even designed in a creepy way. I mean, they're a little like cute and like off-putting at the same time, but they're not like monstrous or anything. But the way that they behave, you forget that birds are predators too.
Yeah.
Because so once Mahito enters this other plane where he tries to get his mother back, or his stepmother back, he comes across these characters that they're like the most normal looking character designs that Miyazaki's done so far. I think the Wada Wada, the cute sperm things that I mentioned before, they're probably like the most like outlandish designs that I've seen in this movie.
Oh, really?
I think for the most part, like it's relatively tame. Like the bird people, they're just like giant humanoid birds. They just look like birds with like humanoid limbs, and they're just big and bulky.
Yeah.
It's not like the same as like seeing the spirits in Spirited Away or like characters from like Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh yeah.
I feel like for the most part, a lot of the weird, quote unquote, weird characters, I think their design is fairly tame compared to previous movies.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, the only weird thing would just be the heron and the guy coming out of the heron and transforming. But
Yeah.
it's not much.
He's like the weirdest one.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, yeah, you have the parakeets that like have these humanoid bodies and they're weird and gluttonous, but
Yeah. Yeah. And Mahito's main motivation isn't just to get his stepmom back, but the heron mentions that, oh, you can bring your mom back if you come with me. And that's like a promise that sort of doesn't really get delivered, and it doesn't get explored with either once he's in that world.
Well, they get rid of that right away because he basically, this is weird. It's just like, you want some candy, little boy? But it's just like he basically lures him back to this tunnel, which, you know, we have those at the beginning. We have like the group of old like
the
housekeepers.
Old maids, which they're funny. They all have personality.
They do, and they just like follow around, and I'm just like, the way they move is like, it's so funny.
Yeah, they're quirky.
But you know, they basically told Mahito, they're just like, yeah, don't go into that tower, and they were whispering how it's supposed to be blocked off. But Mahito, he finds some of the heron's feathers, which
makes an arrow out of it.
Yeah, he makes an arrow out of one.
I'm
and
about
keeps
to shoot
it.
that bitch. He won't stop harassing me.
Yeah,
I'll put an end to it.
And eventually, when the heron does lure him back, when he's like, okay, yeah, your mom, I can promise your mom and stuff. As soon as he goes to that tunnel, he like touches her, and then the body just like melts away.
Yeah, so that gets dropped.
That gets dropped instantly, and then it's just like, oh yeah, well, we have your stepmom basically, who I'm just like, I can't tell the difference. So
yeah,
so it's just like that ends up being like his drive, because I feel like there was a point where he could have just turned around, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And I think him, you know, the depiction of his mom or whatever that, you know, was, that just melting away and being gone was just a further confirmation that, oh, I thought I could get my mom back, but I know she died.
She's gone
and now she's gone again, slipping through my fingers. And there's mention of the stepmom, who basically kind of resembles her, you know, being lost to this world that he stepped into, or he's about to step into.
Yeah.
So I think that ends up being what drives him. It's a bit of a curiosity, but it's also him trying to, I want to say, have that motherly connection again, to not just someone, but I feel like they have a connection, him and the stepmom. It's not really there, and he's not open to it yet.
Yeah.
But I still feel like he's looking for that connection, and she would be able to provide it. Because when she got sick before she disappeared into this other world, she asked to see him, and he was kind of putting it off. But he comes to see her. He's like, "Here, I'm here." But he doesn't really like say, "Are you okay?" or, you know, "Do you need anything?"
Again, he has like this distance, this
from
emotional
her.
distance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, is he worried that, you know, she'll be sick and she'll be gone too, and he doesn't want to deal with that either? But I think that once she goes missing, that kind of brings him like, I shouldn't like let this go.
Yeah.
I should keep this connection, you know?
I feel like that's interesting that you feel that way. I felt like that he was just doing it out of a moral obligation to his father.
Oh,
He's just like, I don't want my dad to have to lose another person. That's how I took it. He never explicitly says that or shows that. And I think because he still has that emotional distance, he never has that emotional reaction of, oh my God, like, I care about her. I need to go help her.
Yeah.
Like you would typically see in a standard film. That made me feel like he was doing it more of a moral obligation. He just feels like it's the morally correct thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's already that kind of character. He's kind of established that he's a respectful person. He'll do the right thing if he's able to. And I don't know. I haven't seen, or maybe I haven't picked up on anything, but I don't think I've seen anything in his journey through the spirit world where he shows a gradual connection and care for this stepmother. It always felt like more like a moral obligation, and I could be totally wrong. And I think Miyazaki leaves it open to interpretation for a reason, because he intentionally doesn't let Mahito express a lot of what he's thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to us to interpret that, because it's mentioned that this is a semi-autobiographical thing, because he grew up during like the World War II era, and I think he lost his mother during the violence as well. So I think in a way Mahito is supposed to represent parts of Miyazaki. But yeah, not once did I feel like, oh, he's gradually caring about the mom. It just, for me, it always felt like I have to get her back because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And because I felt that way, I felt like I felt a little cold about the adventure. I didn't feel like emotional, like I didn't feel any emotional connection. So I'm like, yeah, I want you to go save her because she ain't do nothing wrong. It's like,
yeah,
you should
and
go
I
rescue
felt
her.
like it also had to do with the heron too, because he how he made the arrow with the feather, and he was trying to catch him, and then it was kind of just like, I took this, and he's just like, well, you can't take this. This is my dad's, basically, like in a sense too. But I felt like gradually, as he was opening up in this world and trying to figure it out, and I don't know, like maybe figure out like how he was really feeling in all this craziness that was happening. Because like I said, he could have turned back multiple times. He kept pushing through. There were a lot of obstacles that he kept pushing through, and he didn't have to.
Yeah,
but he was doing it. I agree with what you're saying as well too. I feel like in part it is him feeling like he's obligated to do this on behalf of his dad. With everything that's going on, because he's like the only one that can basically like see this stuff.
Exactly.
But the house, like the people that live at the house, they are kind of aware of it as well too. They're like, oh, this person got lost, or there's weird stuff going on here, and the dad's just like, haha, whatever, you guys.
And one of the maids ends up on the journey with
him.
Mahito.
Yeah. So I feel like I agree with you on that. I also feel like he did finally warm up to her, especially when he found her. There's a lot that goes on, like we said.
It's like
humanoid,
a fever dream.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's very like, it's like when you wake up and then you're just like, I just had this weird ass dream, and you tell somebody quickly before you forget it, and they're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
good? That's what Mahito's whole journey really felt like. But there's a part where he finds the stepmom, and she's basically, I want to say that they called it like a birthing room or whatever, and
basically
stuff.
It is.
They're like, oh yeah, no one can go because it's a taboo for like anyone to step foot in there, or like a boy to step in foot in there and stuff
before the baby's born.
Before he's born. And when he gets there, he finds her laying in the bed, and she just like yells at him and tells him to go away, and that she hates him. And
that part stood out to me because I was like, where did that come from? Because I was like, oh, are we getting into some meat and potatoes right now? Like, are you really like telling him how you really feel?
Yeah.
Is that how you felt the whole time?
What did you think of that?
I thought that it was going to finally culminate into like this confrontation with the stepmother and Mahito, where I don't know, maybe the stepmother finally just projects her anger onto Mahito because she feels like, she lost her sister. We don't know. We don't get any perspective or any thoughts on how this woman feels, because she also loved her sister, right? So I don't know. Maybe she's projecting anger onto Mahito. Maybe she blames Mahito for some reason. But then it quickly, that also just goes away as well, because we move on to like the next thing that's going on. And I just thought, it would be very interesting to see if this woman was pretending to care about this boy the whole time. But I don't think it actually pans out that way. I don't know what that outburst was about. I honestly couldn't make heads or tails of it.
I thought it was just a way to get him to like leave the place, get away from it, because there was a point, I don't know if it was
like
before,
out of protection.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was like before or after that happened, where everyone was saying she wants to be here. Yeah. Like she wants to stay. She's going to stay. Like you should just go back.
This is when she got grabbed by the Parakeet King, right? The Parakeet people?
No, are you talking about the little girl?
No, I'm talking about is the stepmom when she's in the birthing room. That's the Parakeet Kingdom, right?
Yeah, I guess they have her there. She wasn't. Yeah. She was just left there. Yeah, it was Mahito and the girl, who basically got.
Who's actually Mahito's mom in another dimension.
We won't get too deep into that. I don't think we should. But
her name's Lady Hime, and she conjures fire.
Yeah, she conjures fire.
Which they don't delve into her character at all. Which that bothered me a lot.
Yeah,
because typically in all of Miyazaki's movies, they go into new characters, they explain their purpose, the background, and how they help the main character. My main frustration with the movie is we meet a lot of side characters, and not once do we get any explanation as to why they're doing what they're doing. Why are we meeting this younger version of Mahito's birth mother as like a child, and why is she able to conjure fire? What is her purpose in this world?
I'm just gonna assume the conjuring of fire was because his mom
Miyazaki
burned
loves fire.
in the fire,
Yeah.
and it was a way for him to trust and be comfortable around her.
Mm-hmm.
Because you remember there was a point where he was in that house with the parakeets,
Yeah.
and they were gonna eat him, and she just appears in this like ball of fire, and she reaches out a hand and she tells him to take it. And he could have trauma and be like, I'm not taking it. My mom died in a fire.
You think
I've
he
been
needs
there.
his projection?
I feel like it. I honestly do. Even though I want to say yes, but it's also hard because the housekeepers, they said that she went missing when she was a little kid.
Right.
So it's just like, is this real? Like everything that happened, is this weirdness with this tower? Is this other world? Is it real? For everyone in this family, in this bloodline, is it real, or is it really him projecting? Because he gets lost into this world. How could he possibly bring up this girl who's his mother, but she was found because obviously she ended up growing old and being his mother. Yeah. So I feel like it has to be some sort of projection, unless
That's what it felt like to me.
When you get trapped in the world, maybe some, I don't know, projection or other you stays there or something.
Yeah.
But she came back out. So I have to feel like it's maybe him projecting that. It's hard to say. There's no, like you said, it's like a fevered dream or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like up to you to make sense of what the hell you just watched.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is like one of those motifs that are very hard to balance in a movie. It's like you want to be able to let audiences think for themselves, but you also need to feed them enough information as well at the same time. Yeah. Because otherwise it almost becomes like nonsensical. And I'm not saying that's what this movie is. I think I might need repeat watch.
I was literally just thinking that I would want to watch
viewings.
it again, especially since I fell asleep for 10 minutes. I can't remember where. But I would definitely want to watch it and see if what I'm saying now changes. Yeah. Because it felt like everything was resolved at the end for me.
And it closed so quick.
Yeah.
It just gets resolved so quick. So why don't we like jump ahead to like the grand uncle reveal?
Yeah, you take that one on, because I'm just like, who are you, sir, and why are you playing with these stacking blocks? I don't know. What you've been doing this whole time? Like,
yeah. So at the end of this journey, Mahito runs into this anime-looking, Albert Einstein-looking ass character. He's like this great big wizard that basically is in charge of creating the world that Mahito's in. He's basically continuously creating this world, and he has like these building blocks that kids use to stack, and that's basically the way that this world functions. Is somebody who's in charge of this world has to stack these blocks continuously and make sure that they don't fall over, because then the world crumbles. And we just get that big ass reveal in like the last maybe 5-10 minutes of the movie, and Mahito is basically being tasked by his grand uncle to take over his position as the creator of the new world. And it's just like, I wish this was introduced in the middle of the movie, because this feels like something that happens right before the second act. Like this is a grand, huge thing that Mahito would have to deal with. It's like, wait, what? My great grand uncle, who can make these weird ass worlds and creatures, is telling me I have to be stuck here and make my own world and start it from scratch. Like, it just felt like there was a lot of plots going on and being introduced at the last minute. And it just threw me way off. But I want to talk about this because it's the reason why this world exists in the first place. First of all, they introduced this concept that Mahito's bloodline, his familial bloodline, is responsible for accessing into this world and being able to develop it, basically. But they don't go into the specifics of how that works. Why is it that Mahito's family is so special in that they're able to access this world and they can create this world? They never dive into that. And so the grand uncle's basically pressuring him. It's like, look, I'm about to just give up on this thing. My blocks are about to fall. I'm done here. I'm done. I'm too old. You need to take over.
You problem? I was just like, because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you are, what you want, and why you playing with these blocks. And I got to stay here for the rest of my life and play with these blocks.
That's essentially what Mahito said. It's like, no, I'm not here. I'm not here to create this world. I'm here to bring back my mom, and that's it. Yeah. And the grand uncle is just like, no, I insist that you stay here and you make this new world. And it's just like, why are we introducing? It's like 10 minutes to the end of the movie, and I'm just like, why are we introducing this great big problem that feels like it should be the main plot of the movie, but it isn't. So then Mahito basically rejects that notion, and he basically makes his escape with Lady Hime, the one who can conjure fire, that is a version of his mother. And basically, it just ends with them escaping into their own, I don't know, timelines. They go into different doors, so I guess different timelines, because Lady Hime is the child version of the mom who went missing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming she went back to her timeline before Mahito was born. And then Mahito went back to his timeline right where his dad is. And then at some point, the granduncle accepts that Mahito's not going to be the inheritor of this world and try to create a world of his own. And then it just ends with the stepmom being brought back, and then the end.
Yeah.
It's everything happens so abruptly towards the end, and it's hard for me to dissect everything that goes on in this movie in depth, because I just feel like there was way too little time to explore something that big and that deep.
Yeah.
Like,
it was really weird, and I was
so
confused
bizarre.
about because there was like this giant like rock floating in the air, and something was wrong with it. And I was just like, I don't know what that is. And and then the blocks, like the stacking blocks, he's like, oh yeah, these have to be like, you know, balanced, and you have to make sure they're balanced every few days. I'm just like, why would you ask a 12-year-old child to come and make sure these blocks are balanced every few days for the rest of his life? Right. And then there was something about the blocks having like malice or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Mahito's like, yeah, no, something's wrong with the blocks. And
I forgot. That just triggered my memory. He said that he couldn't create a new world out of purity because he did something to himself out of malice.
Yes.
When he injured his own head.
Exactly. So I was just like, okay.
And then that's when the granduncle's like, all right, that's a technicality. You can go. And I was like, wait, what are these themes that are coming up that you guys didn't explore?
I know. I was like, so does the world fall apart? Because it looked like it was falling apart.
It
was crumbling. So I was like, once Mahito and the stepmom leave, and even what's her name, Hime?
Yeah.
Once they leave, do they just go back into their own time? And so I was just like, how is Hime going into a timeline when she dies when she's older, or is she just stuck? I don't know.
Time travel.
Whatever. It's like freaking Avengers or some shit with their time travel shit. It's stupid. But yeah, I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. So I was like, the world just basically caves in on itself, and does it matter? So
we don't really see the end result. We see that it's crumbling and going away.
Yeah.
So we can only assume that that world is dead.
Thank goodness those parakeets are stupid, though. A bunch of them got out.
I did like that. I like how any creature that comes out of that world, they just turn back into regular normal animals in the I was just like, oh, wow. And then, what was funny, too, is once Mahito and the stepmom come back through the door and they're in their world, and all these parakeets rush too, because there was like basically a flooding that was happening in the other world. Mm-hmm. They're just shitting everywhere, and everyone's laughing like, oh, they're back. And there's like shit falling on everyone. Bird shit everywhere. Like, you guys are assholes.
I was like, I'm not really enjoying this moment right now, because I'm like, that's nasty. Like, there's shit everywhere. But yeah, I don't know. It's this
movie's bizarre.
It's bizarre, and I feel like you should watch it, and I think you should watch it again and again, because I definitely
need to watch it again and again.
Yeah, I definitely will watch this film again as I continue on my Ghibli marathon that's been taking years, because there's so many movies to watch. But I enjoy the ones that I have watched. I watched those a couple times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's interesting. I would like to hear what other people get from it, because like we're talking about it and you're feeling this way or thinking, oh, I feel like he was more going like,
we each had different ideas.
Yeah. So I would definitely watch it again, because I would like to know if what I'm thinking now and what I'm saying now changes.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I have very mixed feelings on this movie, which is weird to say about a Miyazaki film. I don't think I've ever felt sort of underwhelmed. And I think this is my first time feeling underwhelmed with a Miyazaki film. But there's still so much interesting stuff to pull out of here that keeps me engaged with the movie. It's not like it was boring or like poorly written. It's just like the way it's designed. It's very unique and it's very complicated. And I feel like it does warrant multiple watches, at least a second one, to try to parcel through what Miyazaki is trying to make us feel and experience. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely recommend people go see it. If you're a fan of anime, Miyazaki films, Studio Ghibli films, you're going to want to go check this out, because you're probably going to feel very different from us. A lot of the critics and the fans from what I see online, they're really liking this movie.
Yeah.
So there's something that I'm missing in my experience that I'm not really attaching to. So I would strongly recommend fans of this like genre and this medium to go out and watch this and find out for yourselves what this movie might mean to you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I if we're gonna go into ratings right now, I would give it like a baked potato.
Same. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
All right. So we're in the middle. Yeah, we're in the middle. We're in the middle of the road here. It's like it's a well crafted film. It's decent. It's definitely not bad. It's not mediocre, but it's also not great for me just because I feel like I'm missing a lot, and I can't tell if it's because I'm missing something or maybe there is something lacking in the writing. I don't know. I think I need to rewatch again, but for right now, this feels like a baked potato.
Yeah, I wonder if we watch it again, will we get something and bump that rating up? But for now, I guess my rating's just like I feel like I have to watch it again. Yeah, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. No, it's fun. Yeah, it's you're trying to like basically decipher and analyze it better, because there's so much going on, and I really do feel like it's just one of those crazy ass dreams that you have and you're not really sure. Like when that happens to me, I'm like, oh shit, this is a weird ass dream. And the things that I can remember pull down, like I write them down quick and I go get my dream dictionary and I'm just like, this is what this meant. And that's what this meant. That's what it feels like. So
that's what this movie experience is for us.
That's what that's what I like about it, because it feels like one of those times where I'm just like, I gotta get my dream dictionary and see what this means. What am I worrying about today?
All right, so why don't we get into the next movie that we're talking today? We're going to get into Monster. And this one's directed by Hirokazu Kore-eda, which I have no experience watching his movies at all. But based off of this one, I want to see more from him, because this is a good movie. Yeah. I really like this movie. The movie was written by Yuji Sakamoto. And this movie is very interesting. It's very unique. I don't know if it's in theaters anymore, but if it is, I recommend that you guys check it out. Spoiler alert, we like this movie. So in Monster, when elementary school student Minato Mugino starts to display concerning behavior in front of his mom, Minato's teacher and the school administration quickly become suspects of possible child abuse. However, perspective is everything. If anyone is to learn why Minato is misbehaving, we must go on a journey with multiple characters to uncover the full picture. And if you watch the trailer for this movie, like the very first trailer, that's basically what you get out of this trailer. And it right away, it's really interesting. You get this premise that this kid is clearly something's going on with this kid. Yeah. He is showing disturbing behavior that's harmful to himself. And the students are saying that, this teacher yells at him. The teacher hits him. And then we see how these different adults, we're following different adults' perspectives on trying to figure out what's going on with this child. And the way that the trailer was edited, I think it sold the movie instantly. Like, it tells you what the idea of the movie is without spoiling everything. Yeah. And I think that's very common for a lot of at least Western movie trailers to do, where it just gives you everything, or it just gives you too little to the point where you're just like, I don't even know what the idea is. Yeah, I hate when that happens. Or like you said, they give you too much and I'm just like, I don't need to go see the movie, and then I waste my time seeing the movie and the movie's trashier than the trailer was. And I was just like, great. Yeah. But the trailer for Monster, I had like this like thought that I was like, maybe this movie's like, I don't know, supernatural or so. I was getting like these weird vibes from it, and it's like if you watch it, you find that it's actually really simple. It's just people, everyday lives, you know, kids, growing pains, all that stuff, right? And then different perspective of the boy, his mother, the teachers, and I was just like, why they dropped the trailer? And I was just like, this is gonna be some weird like, I don't know, boogeyman type shit, or like some weird mystery thriller. Yeah, I mean, really it's a thriller, but it's not a mystery for sure. Yeah, there's no weird creature or anything like that. Yeah. I don't know if you got that vibe, but when I first saw the trailer, I was just like, it felt like a very foreboding, just like some ominous thing coming. And even when we went and we were watching it, I was just like, oh my God, someone's mind controlling him. Someone's doing something. I was like, I don't know what it is, but something's not right. When I saw the trailer, I was like, is this a live action monster movie from the anime Monster? Oh gosh. Go ahead and say it. Just say it. There we go. Get it all out. For all you Monster fans, you know what I'm talking about. For the rest of you guys, just ignore me. Yes, I do. So how'd you feel about this movie? after watching it.
I really, really liked it. I do want to watch it again.
Me too.
Because I had a question for you at the end of the film, and you're just like, wait, what?
Yes, we'll get to that too. That was a really good question.
Yes. And I have to watch it again. It's very simple film. It reminds me of, and I'm blanking on the name, and I hate that I'm bringing it up, but the movie where you have like the different perspectives. You remember the movie with?
It's like Ju-on. Well, not exactly like Ju-on, but
kind of
Ju-on
like
plays
Ju-on.
with perspectives.
Yes, but the one with what's Jennifer Lopez's what's his name? I'm totally blanking. Actor, Batman.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck and his best friend that kind of looks like him too, Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that movie with him and tall guy, what's his name too with
Adam
the ears?
Driver.
Adam Driver. How you guys are so fun. I feel like we're playing a game.
Charades.
You remember that film that we watched with his wife, and there was like 3 different stories. It was like her perspective.
Oh, you're talking about The Last Duel.
The Last Duel. This is fun. I feel like I made my own game just now, guys.
God.
We're going to do that for the next episode. Guess what Jessica's
yes.
trying to say.
Yes.
It reminded me of that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it is very similar to that.
And I was like, oh, wow. It's like, I'm really liking this. I was like, okay, well, we're seeing that Minato, he is being like really weird at school. Everyone thinks he's like a bully. The teacher thinks he's a bully. And he goes home and his mom's just like, why is he being so weird? And she finds out that, okay, he got hit by his teacher. His teacher's been abusing him or hitting him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, not my kid. I get it. Like,
yeah, right away you get like attached to the situation and the character. Yeah.
And it's just like, so she's the mother, and is now a single mom. I guess her husband, his dad passed away. They don't really say what happens, I don't think. So she is very protective, but also very dismissive of, I guess, what's going on in her son's life.
Yeah.
And I do you know how old he's supposed to be?
Like
they're
12.
12. They're middle school.
I think they're in elementary, actually.
Is it elementary? I don't know.
I think in Japan the timelines are a little different. Like
maybe, yeah. I forget. I saw
you stay in middle school and elementary school.
The kanji on the school building, but I can't remember if it was for elementary or middle school. But
yeah,
or maybe they're 5th graders. Yeah, they're 5th graders.
Yeah, so they're elementary.
So they're about 10 or 11, and I was very bothered. Like, even though she finds out, like, oh yeah, this teacher, he's abusing my son, I'm going to go to school. I was just bothered by how she was with her son, because I felt like she was babying him. Yeah. And I didn't know if it could be because the dad's not there. The dad passed away, and it's really sore subject, and maybe it's fresh. They didn't say how long ago he passed away or anything like that. But she was very like too protective in a babying way. Like, he would say like these dark things, but he would have
thought-provoking things that kids don't typically ask about.
And I feel like because of the loss of his dad and other things that he's dealing, he's asking these questions. She's just like, that's silly. Or, oh, your dad probably would come back as a horse and give us a ride somewhere. And I was just like, can we like get a little deeper than this lady? Because why is your 10, 11-year-old like saying these things? Like, take him seriously. Like, I don't think you gotta like, put him in a hospital or anything like that, but talk to him. And I was bothered by that.
Me too.
For the most part. And
as it's interesting. Sorry to cut you off there, but I think that's a fascinating way to look at parents when they parent harmfully, but not like in an abusive way. Harmful in the sense that you're not picking up on what your child is telling you. Your child is basically kind of asking for guidance and advice. He's asking sort of like philosophical questions that your kid typically wouldn't answer unless they're going through some sort of pain.
Yeah.
And just like pushing that aside or deflecting it with jokes and like lighthearted like banters, I feel like that is a way of harmful parenting without being malice, without having the intent to harm. But because you're trying to lighten up this person and not trying to delve into the darkness that they're feeling, you're causing harm that way. And I like that you brought that up, because that I feel like that's like a flaw that we see in the mom.
Yeah.
We support that she's charging into that school and demanding answers. Yeah. Like, I'm all for that, and I support her on that. But the directors and the writers, they take careful like time to like craft fully fleshed out people. They're very realistic people with flaws and with highlights as well. And that's one of the mom's weaknesses, is that she doesn't engage with her son in a meaningful way when it comes to the questions that Minato has, whether it's regarding, you know, his father or like any other questions about, you know, friendships or anything like that. I feel like the mom should have learned something by the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's fine that you're trying to cheer up your kid, but I think that falls into like the world of toxic positivity is what we sometimes hear about. Or it's just like, oh, just don't think about the bad stuff. Like just cheer up and you know, go do something. Forget about it. You know, go get a iced tea or some shit. I don't know what do kids drink these days. But yeah, and sorry, continue. You were talking about Saori, the mom.
Yeah, I'm for her going to the school, like you said, and, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. Who's this teacher that's hitting my kid? Yeah. And it was really weird when we got to that point where she was in the principal's office and then the teachers, all the staff. And they were just like, they were like robots. I swear. Yeah. It was like they were like, that's when we were thinking in alien swaps or no, for real.
Even the mom was asking shit like that.
Yeah,
she was like, basically asking what the audience was thinking.
No, she asked, "Are you guys humans? Are we humans? We're humans, right?" And I was just like, "What's going on?"
And the principal has to look at the notes before answering.
And the mom in front of her.
The mom puts her hand on the principal's arm, puts down the notebook, and she goes, "You have to look at your notes to answer that question."
Yes.
You have to look at your notes to answer, "Are you human?" And then the principal pauses and she goes, "Yes, I am human."
Yeah. So I was already like, all right, we got aliens in here or something like that. That's what I was thinking. God. And it was really...
It really felt like that. It was so bizarre.
Frustrating. It was bizarre and it was frustrating.
But it was brilliant because that portrayal of how the faculty were acting... It might as well be how people should act when they're working for a corporation or the education system or any other type of industry or institution that has power. Because there's so many places that will just, they care about what they can, you know, keep, which is power and money and status and all these other things. When there are actual grievances that, you know, institutions have to address, they're just like, I don't know, man. We did our part. You know, I can't help you. There's nothing I could do, really. Go be somewhere else. Like, they just don't even try to help you.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that sort of attitude happens even in schools because teachers and staff, they're worried about losing their jobs and losing the school in general.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit about your job if you're shit at your job. If there's, like, reports of a child being abused in your school, then maybe you shouldn't be up and running if you're not going to address that shit.
Yeah.
So I like that they characterize the faculty as like these unfeeling bastards because that's literally the truth of so many other institutions. They're basically just like cold ass robots that don't care about people's needs.
Yeah.
So it was very frustrating to watch, but it was also like, well, this is accurate.
Yeah, it was, and I got like weird vibes too because I was just like, are they real? Are they human? I don't know.
Yeah.
And the teacher, it was Hori Sensei. He was the one that basically you could say he was like picking on Minato basically because he felt that Minato was a bully.
Right.
Because Minato has these outbursts in class or he fights with people.
Yeah.
And he's doing it for a reason. We just haven't gotten to that part yet.
Yeah.
But from the mom's perspective, there's a teacher that's abusing her son.
Right.
And then from the teacher's perspective, Minato is a bully to students, so he's basically like letting him know how it feels, and that's why he's being a lot harder on him. Because there was a scene in the trailer, which we get in the movie, I think a couple times, where Minato's in the classroom and he's just lashing out, throwing backpacks, throwing things everywhere, books, all the stuff, and all the students are watching. And then Hori, the teacher, he comes in and he tries to stop him. He's like, "Relax, what's going on? Stop." Yeah. He's like, "Don't do this," and then he accidentally elbows Minato in the nose.
Yeah.
And all the other kids see that, and you know them little lies. They're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he punched him and then kicked him down and all that stuff."
Kicked him in the dick and all that stuff.
You know, so they see that, and it's just like, oh, the teacher hit Minato or whatever. So that's what they see, and that
fuels the rumors.
That fuels the rumors. And at one point, Minato's mom she finds his friend Yori.
Yes.
Yori is Minato's friend, though it doesn't seem like it because it seems like he's actually bullying Yori.
Yeah.
But Yori slowly like merges into the story as we get a little deeper with is Minato being abused? Is the teacher abusing him? Is the teacher like sus, sketchy,
is Minato
whatever?
The abuser?
Yeah, is
We're
he the
looking
abuser?
for the monster.
Exactly, basically, and she goes to Yori's house, and she talks with him, and he's just like a really cute little boy. He's just
sweet ass fucking baby. Just protect him at all costs.
A little absent-minded at sometimes. Just he reminds me of my little Animal Crossing friends that be running around on my island, and I'm just like, you're cute. You're never leaving this island. But yeah, and she basically, I don't know what she says to him, but it cuts back to the school the next day, and they bring him into the office, and they're just like, yeah. Tell them what happened. He's just like, yeah. He's like, Hori-sensei beat the shit out of Minato. I don't know what the fuck happened. He just started fighting him. And then...
Because it's also revealed that Yori has physical bruises on his arms.
Yeah.
And he doesn't tell the truth about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of makes Saori, Minato's mom, think like now he's abusing other children.
Yeah.
Not just Minato.
So I was just like, okay, wow. I don't know who to believe exactly, like because I don't know what's going on.
Isn't this the scene where when Saori confronts the faculty, they all just disperse from the room, and then the principal's trying to like speed walk out the room, and the mom's like grabs her, and he's just like, don't leave. And then she's just like, I heard about your grandchild, your granddaughter, because run over.
For the principal, there's this other like kind of thing on the side where she was away and she returns to the school, and she seems also very out of it. Not
she looks like she is like in a fugue state.
Yeah,
she's not conscious,
which is funny because she comes to school every day for the duration of the movie, which days and probably weeks go by, but the story is that her husband ran over their granddaughter in the driveway and killed her. And so she was mourning that. But as soon as they said that, I was like, I know it was the granny that ran over the granddaughter. I know it was her. It was her. Spoiler, it was her. So the way she's acting right now
mad sus.
Is very sus, but it's also... She's like, I'm going to read from the paper. I'm going to say what I need to say because
she's in the process of grieving herself.
She's grieving and she's covering up. She killed her granddaughter. So she also has to move a certain way too, because if it comes out that the principal of this elementary school ran over her own granddaughter and killed her, she's ruined. I mean, obviously she's going to go to prison because her husband went to prison. And they're like an older couple, like, elderly couple. And he's in prison, he's doing the time, and he seems fine with it for the most part, but even though he's fine with it and he's willing to take this fall for her, she is going through it throughout the whole movie. We see it, which I love that on the side as well too. But yeah, so moving forward, we start to get the perspective of Minato. And his best friend Yori, who he's like, don't talk to me in public, but we can hang out and all that stuff.
Who hasn't been there, right?
Yeah.
Middle school, elementary school, we were all dirt bags.
Damn.
Yeah, once we get into Minato's story, we start uncovering a lot more truth, and I think it only makes sense that we start getting more information from children, because children are very blunt beings. They don't understand how to fully lie and hide the truth yet, at least not fully. Kids are like the most honest that people will be the most honest when they're children, because that's before you're socialized into learning about like white lies, knowing when to protect somebody with a lie or when to like hide your own secrets. Though they do withhold some stuff, because we soon learn that they just don't feel comfortable with the adults in their lives. They don't feel that they can open up to their parents and their teachers. Minato is grieving the loss of his father, and he doesn't get any comfort from his mom. We see that he throws himself out of the car during one night when the mom picks him up, because we see that Minato's been hanging out with Yori in these tunnels. They find like this old bus, and they make it into like this makeshift club, which is really cool. And it's really sweet and cute, and it just becomes their safe haven to hang out, because Yori is a kid who is getting bullied at school, and Minato secretly is befriending him, but because he doesn't want to get bullied himself, he either allows the bullying to go by or he participates in it. And it quickly gets revealed that it's also delving into a story of queerness, because we learn that Yori is a child who's gay.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't see that right away, just because they didn't reveal that right away. We see why Yori's getting bullied. We see that the boys see him as like effeminate
because he likes to hang out with the girls more.
Yeah.
And he likes flowers.
And he knows specific flower breeds.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cute that he has a hobby like that.
And I love that he doesn't react to the bullying. I mean, honestly.
He never retaliates.
He doesn't retaliate. He doesn't really react. Like, they mess up his desk and he just gets a rag, cleans it up. And then the girls help him. They're like, I'll get the trash bin, and they'll just do it. And it agitates the other boys so much.
Yeah.
And Minato, he is part of that group. They try to get him into it, and he'll go over and like do something, but he's not really doing it, but he ends up always being the one left there when everybody scatters. So it kind of looks like he did sometimes.
Yes. Which gives the perspective that Minato's the bully.
Exactly.
Which is why we see when when Hori Sensei comes in every time, it looks like Minato's the one that abused Yori.
Exactly.
And so that gives the impression to Hori Sensei, like, oh, this kid's a fucking bully. Like, by the time he meets the mom, he's already fed up with this kid. But we see, prior, like you mentioned, Hori Sensei tries to calm him down when he's lashing out with the backpack, because we learn in Minato's perspective that he's throwing around people's stuff so that he can disrupt the bullying that's happening to Yori.
Yeah.
So that, because he just couldn't handle being part of that anymore. And instead of just going up directly to those kids and being like, stop bullying him, he uses this diversion. Not effective, not the best thing to do, but he is a child. And he's learning. He's finally breaking out of this trend of, trying to socially survive, where you have to avoid getting bullied no matter what. He's finally breaking out of that, but he does it in a kind of misguided way that gets him in trouble. So that's when like the pieces start coming together, where, okay, now we know Hori Sensei isn't abusive. He's fed up with this kid, but not once has he laid his hand on him or, mistreated him.
Though he does says things like, be a man, or like, you're not.
I was going to get into that.
Yeah, he says those things, which I'm not surprised to come from, I guess, like an adult male. I don't know what time this is supposed to be, but
I mean, even today, it's a normal thing to say for men.
Exactly. So he says that a lot to Yori. So Yori can't go to him for
advice.
Because even though he's being bullied, and Minato can't go to him either. And like you said, Yori is a queer child, and that's where the problem's lying as well too, because then the other boys, they see that, and then they hear their teacher validate them saying, "Be a man. Like, you can't be a man if you can't do this.
if you're not strong enough." Because it was specifically when Yori fell off of the human pyramid that they were making out in the yard, and when he fell off, that's when he made that little joke, that comment. Which I love that they made him say it just like as like a throwaway thing. It's not like he got in his face and be like, "Oh, you're not a man."
Yeah.
It was just like a throwaway line, because that's usually how it's delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are harmful comments that are casually thrown around every day by everybody. So that plays into it as well. So we learn a lot from Minato's perspective. And I just love that we get to see things from the child's perspective. There's more wonder to the story when you're looking through the kid's eyes. Like, you see all the moments of pain that they go through, but they also show you what they make of that pain. Like, when they make that shelter in the bus, you see how they can turn that pain into something productive and like beautiful and just loving as well. So Minato's perspective really shed a lot of light on what he was going through. He's going through a lot of loneliness and a lot of desperation, where one, he can't talk to his mom about his dad because she just dismisses everything, not in a rude way, but just like she just doesn't really have the capacity or like the desire to engage with that conversation.
Yeah.
And he's clearly hurting. He may not be crying about it, but it's like asking questions about mortality and asking, is my dad going to be reincarnated? those are questions you can't really just brush aside. That is a very powerful opportunity to engage with your kid, to build foundational trust, so that in the future, when they go into puberty and they go through a lot of other stressful things, your child will have an easier time coming to you if you've already established that in childhood, like with the conversation about the dad being dead.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't really get resolved for him. He is trying to survive elementary school. Now he's a target of bullying as well, because now the bullies know that he likes Yori and supports him.
Yeah.
And then with the adults as well, like with the teacher, he can't really go to Hori sensei because he's already seen that he's not very helpful, especially with Yori's situation. And now he's also dealing with Yori himself. He sees that Yori is hurting, because there's also like this theme that we keep coming back to, which is the first shot that we see after like the scene with the train tracks, is the burning hostess building in the middle of the city. And it's weird that the first time we see that, it's through Minato and Saori's perspectives, and they're taking it in as like a spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, the first thing isn't like, oh, I hope that these people are okay. Their first reaction is like, Minato, come look. It's almost like being like, yo, your favorite show's on TV right now. Come watch. It was really weird.
Yeah.
That was like another thing that stood out to me about the mom specifically, is that's her initial reaction, is to call her son over and be like, get some popcorn. We're going to watch this fire burning.
Yeah. Is it because it was like a
that's what
lounge area or something?
I think it was because it was an establishment that people look down on, because it's a place where you can get essentially like sex service.
Yeah.
I think I can only imagine that's the reason why, because when we see other perspectives, we see other people just looking on with awe and wonder and just spectacle.
Yeah.
Not really any horror or alarm, which is weird because that is a huge fucking fire.
It was. There's like a
it
whole
looked like Godzilla
building.
just ran through.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
And when the mom was at work, it looks like she does like a dry cleaning type of thing.
Yeah.
So one of the, I don't know if it's like another mother came in and she's
Yeah.
just like, oh, guess what? I heard that Hori sensei was there at the place with one of the girls there that works. And then this kind of like snowballs and it just solidifies, the mom's like, yeah, he's abusive. He goes to these clubs and who knows what else he's got going on in his life. And he's teaching my kid. So like that, it's just like, it's so funny that like, it's clearly like a small like area. Like it's like a town or something like that.
Yeah.
There's, but people see stuff because during that fire, there were kids from the elementary school running around, getting in the way of like the
Yori
fire
was
trucks and stuff. Yeah. So it's really funny. They see this, and once a rumor starts, okay, well, we heard that he hit, Minato in the face or whatever. He punched him or he elbowed him. Mm-hmm. And then that could easily turn into something else completely different by the time it gets to like the 10th person. Yeah. And, oh, yeah, I heard he goes here. So I just thought that was really interesting how like that building's up in flame and spreading and stuff. And then this rumor is spreading like wildfire. And what's going on with this character and the people connected to him, how that's also spreading too. I really love that about the story and how it was going.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the burning building it connects all the characters in some way. And I think it connects to the theme of who the monster is. And I don't know, I haven't thought too much on this, but when like thinking about it, I feel like in a way, everyone in some capacity was monstrous to somebody.
Even the kids?
Even the kids, but not in the way that you suspect. Like Minato was a monster to Yori at some point because, again, he wanted to survive elementary school. So it got to the point where he actually was beating on Yori so that nobody accused him of being gay.
Yeah.
So he showed his monster side, The mom, in a way, we don't really see her being monstrous in like a callous way, but like, again, being indifferent to your son's like questions and needs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily monstrous, but it's still harmful. And, obviously the principal has shown some sort of level of monstrosity.
Driving
of
over
just
kids,
and also just being concerned about her position over just the safety of this child.
Yeah.
With Hori Sensei, I don't recall if there's anything monstrous about him other than him making sexist comments I mean, that in a way is harmful, but
I think he's bullying Minato too in a way to show him like, see, like, what if I did this to you?
Yeah.
I was getting those vibes from him as well, because didn't he tell Minato that he has like a pig brain or something? There was that saying going on a lot, and it's just like, well, if you do get replaced with, I think Minato asks his mom, if you get replaced with like pig parts, or are you part pig, or is your
human?
brain? Yeah.
Which is
Something
very
like that.
weird, interesting conversations.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But yeah, you're right. So he, in a sense, was a bit of a monster. Luckily, he went to apologize to Minato during the hurricane that was going on.
And we can't forget Yori's dad. He's
a very small character, but he is definitely a monster.
He explains Yori. Yeah, it kind of explains Yori, what's going on with his background, because we don't remember in the beginning of the movie. Minato's mom goes to Yori's house and no one's home.
Right.
And she's like, won't your mom be mad or your parents be mad if you just let a random person in? And he didn't like really answer. And it was really weird. But we find out that, okay, he does have a dad, because Hori Sensei does go to his house at one point, and we run into the dad who, I guess, is kind of a drunk.
He's a fucking loser.
Damn.
Because he was also at the hostess club.
Yeah,
that's what
would
Yodi
go
said.
there.
And I think there's enough evidence to suggest that Yodi might have been the one responsible for burning that building.
Oh boy, yeah.
Because we see a scene later on during the principal's perspective. She's on the bridge watching this building burn, and we see Yodi running down the road, and he has the little lighter thing that he's been playing with, and he drops it, and then the principal picks it up for him, and then he's on his merry way with the lighter. And then when we're in Minato's perspective, when they're at the bus, Minato asks directly, like, were you the one that set the building on fire? And Yori just gives a cryptic answer. He just goes, it's bad for my father to drink. Or something along the lines of that. And I was just like, wait, what do you mean?
I'm like, what?
And he just leaves it at that. We go to the next scene. So, yeah, Yori is also a monster in question as well. Not of his own making. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
But it just shows like the cyclical cycle of how people can treat each other so badly enough that you can create monsters out of each other. And I don't know if that's what the director is going for, because I don't think there's one singular person who is the monster. I think this movie sort of highlights how anyone can be capable of destruction, whether it's self-destruction or destruction of somebody else to some capacity.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, can you make amends for that? Can you recognize that and do better from that? And we see that there are characters that do that. Some will just stay monsters forever, like the drunk father.
Yeah.
Who can't accept that his son is gay. And he has to lie that there's a girl that Yori likes.
So he could send him away. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny, because Yori comes out. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to be leaving. There's a girl that and then he closes the door and then he runs back outside. He's like, I lied. And I was just like, and then his dad grabs him up and tries to pull him back inside. And I was just like, wait, what? I was like, he's too funny.
It was funny, but it was also horrifying.
It was horrifying. Yeah. Because he's their kids.
Yeah.
Yori so much more, it felt like, than Minato. But then I feel like Yori, I don't know, do you think he knows that he's different or whatever?
Oh, Yori knows.
Yeah.
This is the funny thing about what I hear from people our age or older is that, when they hear about like queer studies being introduced in elementary schools and middle schools, they just think, oh, you're trying to indoctrinate our kids to be gay and transsexuals and all these whatnots. And it's just like, you really shouldn't have a child if that's what you think, because children know a lot more about themselves than you think.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to brainwash somebody into being gay. We've brainwashed people into thinking they're straight, though. That is historically accurate. But ain't no way that a drag show is gonna make someone gay. You're either gay or you're not. It's like, and this kid knows that he's gay. He may not have a language for it. Yeah. But he feels it. He feels an attraction to Minato. He feels an attraction to boys. That's just what it is. It's just fact. It's just whether it's a combination of biology and social factors, you can't change that. Yeah. And that can't be taught to somebody. You can't teach someone how to be gay, straight, what have you. You just can't do that. And the father is he's completely ignorant of that, or just unwilling to understand that and unpack that. And it's just, I didn't expect that from this movie. I didn't expect this movie to have like a queerness at the center of it.
Yeah.
And I liked it because there's not a lot of movies that explore queerness in children. You know, there's very few movies that explore that, but it's a very important thing to talk about, that kids as early as like 4, 5, 6 years old, they'll know if they like girls or boys or other genders.
Yeah.
And you have to be a responsible parent and adjust to that and accept that and not try to put a stop to it, because you're only just going to make things worse, and you're not going to change that regardless.
Yeah. And I like that the adults in the film, the way that they overlook it in so many different ways, because I think there was a homework assignment that Yori and Minato had, and Yori's assignment, he wrote his name and Minato's name on his paper for his story. And it was kind of like this like decoded thing, and he just wanted to write their names together so you know, so they could be together. Also, he's super dyslexic like myself here, because I'm like, all your hiragana is backwards, you know, that's not how you write that, boy. But it was really funny. So he like wrote their names at the top of their paper, and then he like wrote a story based off of how each letter started. And the teacher, he was just reading the story. He's like, this doesn't really make any sense, or what's going on. But then he like basically decoded it, and he realized, he's like, it says Yori and Minato at the top of the paper. And I think that's when it clicked for him that they are in fact friends, and all of Minato's behavior, what he was doing, was to protect Yori, or was to protect himself. And and it wasn't like that. So that's why when that storm happened, he ran out to Minato's house so he could apologize, but he wasn't there. And it was just like, I like that he came. Yeah, I like that he came to that conclusion and realized like what was going on. I don't know if in that scene that was basically like close to the end of the movie, if he got a chance to like explain it to the mom. But it sounded like he was like, I'm hoping that's what it was. And you know, they went out to go look for them, because there's like a really bad storm that was announced like the day before, and the two boys, they took off to their hideaway car, clubhouse, that's like through the tunnel. I guess it was like an old train tracks and stuff, and the storm was bad.
Yeah, it was like hurricane level.
It was, and they should not have been out there, and it was so sad for me, them going out there and them sitting in the train and, you know, hanging out,
because that's their safe haven.
It's their safe haven, and I could just see their innocence. They're not thinking about, look at what's going on outside. We are safe in here. We could be together. We can be like just us, two kids hanging out, doing the things that we like. And I felt so sad watching that, because they're just kids. They're just innocent, and they're going through so many things, and there's no one to like listen to them. But here they can feel safe. And the storm, it's just like, the storm for me was a little bit like the adults not listening, just all the chaos, and they were safe from it in there. But it's very real, and the storm was really, really bad. And and before we touch on that ending, just before that, and during Minato's perspective with the principal, we see that there's a conversation between Minato and the principal about how Minato says, I don't feel like I can have happiness because what I want, other people want to take away, basically. Basically talking about his feelings for Yori without explicitly saying it, because, again, he doesn't want to talk about feelings for a boy with an adult that he doesn't fully trust. And as much as I couldn't stand the principal for most of the movie, she does say something very enlightening. I'm going to butcher it. I'm paraphrasing here, but basically it's like, well, you know, if this is a happiness that only certain people can have, that's not true happiness. Everyone deserves to be able to be happy with whatever they want. And basically that's when we decode that, it's basically saying like, you should be able to love whoever you want to love without, you know, reprimands or like any condemnations or anything. So if you know what you want, you go after it and you be happy. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Yeah.
So I love that conversation, because that was like such a turning point for Minato to go back to Yori and apologize for the way that he's acted and make amends. And then that's when they got to the point of being in that clubhouse together during the storm. And then, you know, while the mom and the teacher are trying to look for them, it looks like the bus has collapsed and it's concave, full of mud and everything, and it doesn't look like
there's like a mudslide.
Yeah, and it doesn't look good for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end of the movie, we see the kids. They're like under the bus. There's like this underground tunnel under the bus that leads back into like the main tunnel.
Yeah,
and we see them just like frolicking and running through like the tracks and the greenery.
Nice light white open pearly white gates type light in a nice clear metal field after this really bad storm.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I know those babies did not just die. Okay,
I did not think that. When I saw that, I was like, wow, what a nice, sweet, happy resolution.
I told you earlier, because there's a couple times where we see the boys hanging out in the train cart that's at the end of that tunnel. And Minato's never been there. This is like Yori's spot, and he shares it with Minato. And they're running around. There's like a lot of open grassy area, and there's like an old track. And they run up to it, and he's showing him around, and the track has a gate over it, and it's fenced. And he's just like, this is the end of the road. That's what he says to Minato. And then they go back, and that's the rest of the movie progresses. So then at the end, with the storm and everything that's happening, they are running around like it's like the storm's gone. Everything's light. Everything looks great, and they're running through the field. And they get to that train track where the fence was. The fence isn't there anymore. And it looks like that's where they're going to go next. So that's why I was just like, did they die in this mudslide, in the storm that happened? Are the parents? And that's where we get left. Yeah. That's it. That's how the movie ends. And I was just like, I hope it doesn't end that way. I mean, I'm mixed feelings. Like, would I be totally like, why do we have to kill the queer characters?
They're not dead. That's why, because they are not dead.
I was just like, I don't know how I feel about that. Can the parent and the teacher find them, and maybe everyone can try to be better to each other, for themselves? I don't know, but I was getting the vibes because I was just like, it is too bright. Like nothing. I mean, like, after a storm ends, it could clear. Yeah, okay, you just really want them. Yeah,
they're alive.
I don't know.
They're alive and well. But
I don't know.
You bring up a very interesting point because I did not think about that at all.
Yeah.
When the movie ended, when you brought that up, my heart just dropped.
I know. You were just like, what? Wait, what do you mean? Like, explain yourself.
No, these kids can't be dead.
Because I was so confused. I'm just like, well, where's the fence? Because it's not like after a storm, when like the storm we just had, where there's like trees falling everywhere and there's shit everywhere. Everything broke apart. The gate wasn't broken. The area around the fenced area wasn't like destroyed from the storm. Everything was clear. It looked like before, when they were first playing out there, when Yori introduced Minato to that area, and I was just like, well, okay, the gate's open now. Are they going to run across those tracks together? Ooh, look at you. You thinking idiot.
It's not the pearly gates of heaven. No, I refuse to accept it, but that is a very interesting point. I see legitimacy in that theory, and I'm just hoping you're wrong.
I know. I hope I'm wrong too, but it feels right.
Yeah, it's just, because there is a problem with this whole trend of queer characters dying in movies, because it's become almost like a trope at this point. And that, not to say that queer characters can't die in media. Of course, anybody can die. But when you make that like the main ending for a lot of love stories for queer characters, that becomes a huge problem. Yeah. Because you're basically stating that queer people can never be together in the public eye. I don't want that. And I hope that's not what the movie's going for. But also, if it does end that way, I'll still feel icky about it, but it at least does it in a tasteful way where it feels like a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't pay attention to your child's needs.
Yeah.
But I am really hoping that they're not dead. I hope that you just got really creative with that ending, and that you...
Wow, he's calling me crazy and saying I'm hysterical because I'm a woman.
Be a man. Be logical.
Yeah, no, as soon as I saw them go up to that gate, I flashed back to that. I said, you said this was the end of the road, and the end of the road is open now. So what do you mean?
Over the course of a couple weeks, maybe even months, they could change stuff with the railroad. No. They could take down that gate.
Because it said it was dangerous. It was a closed. They didn't use that anymore. It was overgrown and everything. And
the wind blew it away.
Sure, okay.
These kids are happy and alive and healthy and well.
Yes, in heaven.
No. So that interpretation is valid. I definitely can see how that could be the case. I'm hoping for the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping. But that is a very good ending if it leaves you thinking that, if it leaves you questioning, wait, did they die or is this actually a happy ending for them?
Yeah.
So, man, this movie is emotionally powerful. It's moving. I have zero complaints on this movie. I really can't think of nothing bothered me.
Yeah.
The pacing was good. The writing is excellent. Acting is superb. Even from the children, it's just like they pointed a camera and just be like, all right, just be kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's exactly what kids act like. They don't feel like kids trying to act like kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel forced.
They didn't get like some 40-year-olds to play these little kids.
Ew. Grease. Yeah, there's cinematography is beautiful. The film score, gorgeous. I love that they dedicated the movie to the composer because he had passed away sadly a couple months before the movie's release.
Oh, wow.
The music was emotionally just charged and powerful. So every piece of this film, for me, is a masterpiece. This movie is, I don't like to use that term lightly, so I'm saying this movie is a masterpiece for me.
Oh.
And
not The Boy and the Heron like everybody's saying?
No.
No.
They're tossing that masterpiece word too casually for that movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is just, it's excellent. I'm already going to say this is the most potato for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, I need to see this again, and I would want to own this on Blu-ray.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. What are your feelings on this?
I'm also giving this the most potato. I no complaints from start to finish. I mean, I love that the trailer had me going. We thought the movie came out like last month or something like that.
Yeah, the marketing was so just annoying.
Yeah, I don't know if
misleading.
I missed that. If it was
AMC's fault.
Yeah, and then we were waiting. We're just like, oh my God, we missed it. And I was just like, I will pay $25 to rent it for 24 hours. I don't care. Like, I had to see it. Yeah. I'm glad I got to see it. I really am. I'm not sure if it's in theaters. I think this weekend it is. After that, I don't think so.
Catch it if you can. If not, keep it on your radar for streaming. Because if you love dramas and character studies and just philosophical questions about, mortality and morality when it comes to your children, definitely seek this movie out.
Yeah. It was really great from start to finish. I definitely do want to watch it again. I want Alvin to watch it again so he could see them pearly gates.
No, I will not see them.
Yeah, I think everyone should watch it. This was the most potato. It's really good. I'm really glad this dropped. Japan's been feeding us well. Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Boy and the Heron. Monster.
Toho Studios, thank you.
Yeah, this is like the only good. What deal do we have for the rest of the year, earlier in the year, that I could be like, oh my God, yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things that I liked, but I'm like, at least the end of the year is closing because I don't think I'm going to see Willy Wonka, and I'm definitely not seeing Aquaman, so fuck those things.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so 2 strong recommendations from us. Definitely go watch this movie. Check it out wherever it's located at. Please do yourselves a favor and just watch this beautiful movie.
And leave some comments and let us know what you guys interpreted from The Boy and the Heron and Monster. Yeah. What did you guys think? Are you thinking complete opposite of something totally different? Did you hate them? But let us know, because I definitely will be watching both of these movies again because I need to. I feel like there's more I can take from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely check these movies out and let us know your thoughts on this. And with that, we want to thank you guys for once again tuning in with the Most Potato Podcast. Thank you for listening to us on your very busy holiday weekend. We'll let you guys go and struggle with your families and whatnot.
Oh, wow.
No.
Oh, great. Now you just stressed me.
Yes. No, definitely. Have a good time, guys. I'm sorry we don't have snow. I don't know. Global warming.
It'll come. Always a Christmas miracle.
Yes. So with that, we want to thank you guys. Make sure to check out all our social media on Instagram and Twitter. You'll find us there. You'll know when we post episodes. Also, hit the notification bell wherever you're subscribed so that you get notified when an episode goes up. And subscribe wherever you're at. And just love us. Love us, love us, love us. We love you. Even if we don't love you.
Oh, wow. Unrequited. It's okay.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.